So guys, today we are back with another This Week in Destiny breakdown. And this one to go over a huge number of PvP updates thanks to the PvP Strike team. There's also a small update coming to accessibility and console UI, and there's also a small update coming to the Prophecy dungeon in terms of its weapons. Jump into all the details as usual, so if you're going to enjoy or find the video helpful, be sure to leave a like and hit that subscribe button if you haven't done so already. It's free to do and it really does help me out here a ton. We're also getting super close now to 1,000 subscribers, so any support there would be greatly appreciated. With that out of the way though, let's just go ahead and jump into the first update here, which they go over, talking about the overall changes that they're making to PvP, which talks about updates coming to Crucible maps, rewards, game modes, sandbox issues, as well as matchmaking. So first up here, we have Crucible map updates. This mainly goes over the spawn locations of yourself, as well as heavy ammo and control zones and stuff like that. And then they also talk about the map pack coming in May, which will include the brand new Eventide Labs map for Europa, a new Cirrus Plaza map for Neomuna, and the Dissonance map now added on the terraformed pyramid ship. There's some cool stuff there. Going into rewards now, the main stuff here is that they are adding Artifice armor to the competitive playlist. The armor itself will be the Year 1 Crucible gear, so the Sword Flight gear for the Hunters, the Phoenix Strife Type 0 gear for the Titan, and the Anchor Seeker IV set for the Warlock. So if you didn't receive this set back in Year 1, this is the time now to re-earn it, and it'll also be an Artifice set, which is great if you don't want to do any PvE dungeons to unlock Artifice armor. It's great for you PvP players that do not have access to that stuff. To unlock this armor set, you will need to reach gold rank 3 or above each season, and you'll need to complete the weekly seasonal challenge for the competitive mode in order to be able to get this armor to drop. Also from completing matches, you'll also have an increased chance to drop exotic weapon catalysts on victories inside of the competitive mode, which is great stuff there. In terms of trials, they're making some updates to certain passages. There'll be updates directly for Passage of Ferocity and adding a new passage called Passage of Persistence. So, in terms of the passage changes, you have Passage of Ferocity. If you have not been flawless for the week, losses after 3 wins will reset you back to 3 wins instead of flooring your card. And then the brand new Passage of Persistence, loses following a win will remove 1 win from the card. Consecutive losses do not remove additional wins. Getting to a 7 win grants you a drop of the weekly adept weapon regardless of how many losses you have taken. This passage works like a trailer backstop. Once you have at least 1 win recorded on the passage, a loss will remove the most recent win instead of flooring it. Since consecutive losses will not remove additional wins, winning 2 games in a row adds a permanent win to the card. The win streaks longer than 2 add additional permanent wins. You can go flawless on this passage if you do not have a win removed. Once a win is removed, you can no longer go flawless, but you will still earn a roll on the weekly adept weapon, which is awesome. They're also adding rewards for match completions by 3-person fire teams in trials. Although you do not need to win to earn these rewards, they are participation gated. So simply jumping off the map or sitting AFK in spawn will disqualify you from getting these rewards. You also get an additional 50% chance to drop the non-adept Trials Weapon Weekly reward, a 50% chance to get a Trials engram drop, and additional Trials reputation. The goal of these changes is to encourage players to team up with friends, with losses being less of a punishment so that players can have more fun and be well rewarded whilst doing so. Now they're going into game mode changes. So they go over stuff that's already live in the game, but in update 7.3.5, 3v3 Clash will be moved to the 3v3 Quick Play Rotator, and we'll be making these updates to the rules. Heavy ammo is no longer shared, respawn timer increased, match timer is also going to be increased, but the score will be staying the same, and they're adding a new mode called Collision, which is just a 3v3 King of the Hill mode, similar to how King of the Hill works in other games. There will be 5 points on the map. Each point will have a capture flag that you need to capture. 5 points in total, 1 point will be active at each time. Each zone location, A, B, and C, will also have a special ammo crate, and the 4th crate will be in a neutral location. This special ammo crate system reminds me of kind of like the Destiny 1 style of crate system, so some good stuff there. Iron Banner Tribute has undergone multiple changes, including simplifying objectives and scoring, including changing the trigger for the hunt from depositing max crests to a team score threshold. They're removing the wall hacks on player carrying max crests and cleaning up the user experience by decreasing the distance at which crest icons can be seen. We're also reworking how quickly the beacons despawn and rotate, and significantly decreasing the time it takes to interact to dunk crests. And they're reducing the number of turrets that spawn with the hunt beacon from 4 to 3. Also in update 7.3.6, Checkmate will be back in the Crucible Labs, returning in a form closer to its original iteration. A 30% penalty on all ability cooldowns. Melee damage will not be increased, so it will take 3 base melees to kill, and primary ammo optimal time to kills will be shifted to allow for a more tactical sandbox. We're also adding a brand new modifier called Hardware, which will be tested inside of Crucible Labs, where it's no abilities and only weapons, and you can grab special and heavy ammo from crates located around the map. And in the final shape, they're making updates to private matches so that you'll have more customization options over your matches. So modifiers such as Mayhem or Scorch will be options in any game mode, and you can play custom matches with your clanmates and friends or leverage Fireteam Finder. And they also are adding some more custom tuning for existing game modes, so you'll be able to better control other things like special ammo delivery, ability cooldowns, reviving, respawning, and more. Addressing some sandbox issues, there's a whole load of stuff here that they've already covered. So the base health increase that they went over in last week's TWID. This is kind of just a reminder here of sorts. Then they also talk about that in the final shape, they'll be reworking changes to reduce the dominance of Wall of Dawn and Well of Radiance. Also want to improve the viability of supers with longer recharge times in objective game modes, and we'll have more to share on this as we get closer to the release of the final shape. In terms of matchmaking details, this is where we jump into a whole load of numbers and percentages. So I'd highly recommend pausing the video to read all of this if you would like to. I'm probably going to be skipping all this because it's a lot of numbers and stuff that I don't really understand. So if you understand it, that's great. To go over ranked based matchmaking, open skill matchmaking, as well as loose skill based matchmaking. Once again, if you understand all this, good for you. Go and read it. Go and be happy or sad about whatever changes they're making. Makes zero sense to me, but I'm not really a PvP player, so not my base to talk about it. There's also outlier protection that they talk about here as well. And then also go over some Fireteam matchmaking here for Trials of Osiris. Basically re-talking about the updates that they made above, as well as some changes that they're making to lobby balancing as well. All this stuff, really, really cool. Once again, pause the video to read all that stuff, or find a link to this TWID in the description of this video. Now though, let's move over to the accessibility and console UI updates. So in update 7.3.5, they are adding a reticle location setting to console. They are adding a controller dead zone setting, as well as adding the ability to adjust the opacity of the radar background, which is all good stuff. Finally here, they talk about weapon updates to the Prophecy Dungeon. So in update 7.3.5, they're going to be removing the Swift Verdict sidearm, the Long Walk Sniper, and the Last Breath auto rifle. So if you want any of those weapons, hop on there now and go and grab them, because they will no longer be available as of this March update. But all of the remaining and newly added weapons will be getting a brand new origin trait called Crossing Over, where these weapons have increased range and handling for the top half of the magazine, or rounds from the bottom half of the magazine deal increased damage. The new weapons include the returning Prosecutor auto rifle, which is a primary precision frame arc auto rifle, the Adjudicator submachine gun, which is a primary precision frame kinetic submachine gun. Then you've also got the return of the Relentless pulse rifle, which is our primary high impact frame. Damage type is changed though from kinetic to strand, so there's some changes there. Now the updates to the already existing weapons that are still remaining inside the dungeon mainly persist to the damage type changes. So mainly the Judgment hand cannon is going from a kinetic weapon to a stasis weapon. These weapons will also be getting brand new perks added to their pools. The Darkest Before will go from an arc damage weapon to a solar damage weapon. The Sudden Death shotgun will go from arc to void. And there's also some encounter updates here for the drops. So the Phalanx Echo will now drop the Relentless pulse rifle and the Prosecutor auto rifle alongside the armor that it dropped originally. We've also got the Cube encounter, which will now drop a Sudden Death shotgun and the Adjudicator submachine gun. And then you have the Kel Echo, which upon the Emissary chest will now drop the Judgment hand cannon and the Darkest Before pulse rifle. Finally here though, in the TWID, you've got the Normandy crew winners. So if you've won this competition, congratulations on winning. These are all the winners. Good stuff there. That's it for this TWID. You've got your player support report But there is a little tease here that next week we will be learning everything about the upcoming Guardian Games event for this year. So be excited about that. We'll probably learn about what armor sets coming into the Eververse store for that event, as well as updates to the returning weapons, as well as what brand new weapon we can see within that event. We'll be covering all that stuff in next week's TWID, but that is everything for this week. So as always, if you enjoyed or found it helpful, leave a like, hit the subscribe button, and I'll catch you guys in the next one.